Welcome to the Roundtable Podcast. I am your host, Antonio Bushell, and we have the co-host here today. Gathered, we have Lovely B, we have RW,
Lady B, Lady B.
You know how it is. You have Lady B, RW3, and well, we had Lovely T that just left. I guess she'll be back on.
She's going to a well to get some water.
Yeah, she must be going to the well to get the water. Right. She got to walk there. But anyway, guys, we're going to get into this interesting conversation. There's so much going on out here in this world. But before we go in, we're going to start letting you guys know to like and subscribe to our YouTube page. And we would like you to like and share our Facebook page if you're on the Roundtable Podcast. This here is viewed on the Roundtable Podcast as well as Tony and Tasha's Facebook page, guys. But we would love for you to participate in this conversation. It's a very interesting conversation, and I might say one that's not talked about as much. We don't really talk about this. It's one of those sketchy things that we try to avoid. We have our feelings that we have inside, and we don't want to. You know, sometimes people think you're rude if you just express too much about how you feel about another person, in particular this situation. So we're going to talk about it. Those conversations that nobody want to talk about, right? That's why we're here to talk about things that no one else want to talk about or confront in this situation. And it's definitely one that's very interesting in terms of this particular case with Dr. Bill Cosby, and we'll obviously talk in general about this about what's going on out here with sex offenders and different things in that nature. But guys, before we do that, again, like, subscribe. We definitely want you to go to our IG page and check us out on there. Check us out on our website. It also is live as well. So that you can get in on the great conversation with our guests that we're having here. Lady B is going to introduce our guests on the show. But shout out to our listeners, those who listen in regularly, those who leave an opinion. Leave your opinion. I mean, we welcome opinions because at the end of the day, that's all it is an opinion, unless we gather the facts together, right? Until then, it's just an opinion. And that's what we'll say to that. But I'm going to get into this conversation. Before we do that, we always ask our people, how are your week? You guys, how are your weekend?
How are you guys' week? How was your weekend?
Way too fast.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
That is so true. Way too fast.
That's way too fast. And that's one of those things that the weather's been pretty nice out there. It seems like a lot of people is flying though. I've been seeing a lot of people getting on this airplane and just flying everywhere. And prices are just going
higher and higher.
Crazy. Prices are gone high. Those COVID prices are over, guys. Just so you know, you gotta have to kick out real cash to get across to Miami, Atlanta, Florida. Orlando, Florida, New York. I mean, you're gonna have to pay some money out. I mean, you know, if you by yourself, maybe not so much, but you know, if you grouping this thing together, people getting paid out here. Them COVID prices gone. They can't use we giving COVID prices. That's over with now.
Well, money is not an object for Lovely T though, so it doesn't matter what the airplane prices are.
That is not true, but I was able, because I did recently purchase a ticket for a trip I have coming up, and it was still fairly reasonable, you know. At least, I thought so.
Yeah, for people in your income bracket, sure.
Yeah.
Things I could say, but I'm not. But I had a good weekend too, guys. I actually got a chance to see family I had not seen in years, and I still didn't see them like in person. But the fact that we were able to reconnect and engage and what's up, cuz, and hey fam, and so that was a good thing.
That's good.
Now, is that because of the pandemic or
no.
Okay, nothing to do with that. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it is. Everybody is getting out here. They're socializing, socializing one another, kicking the breeze, whatever, going out. Did the governor mention another shutdown for Michigan? Did you guys hear that? I thought I heard that.
It's over, bro. It's over.
Okay, I thought I heard something to that degree. I heard something about that because they said that Michigan numbers were still a little bit above normal. But I mean,
if you've been on Jefferson,
no,
and this is over. Shutdown is over.
Yeah, whether they want to believe it or not.
Willie's on Jefferson, in the parking lot at the liquor store, 50, 60 people. They closed down Belle Isle, getting ready for the Grand Prix. It's off the charts on Jefferson.
We know where you was hanging out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, well, they said Atlanta was the same thing. They hadn't closed. They said Atlanta been over for a long time ago. You know what I mean? They've been out here doing them months ago. You know what I mean? So whether it's shut down or not, they've been doing it. But guys, be safe out there. That's what I'll leave that statement. Be safe out there. Do what you do, but be safe. And when I mean do what you do, I'm not saying go out and commit crimes, right? I'm just saying in a right way.
Right.
Just any type of way, do what you do. So I'm not saying that. Just keep that. We're going to just keep that safe. Those words safe out there. But guys, let's just get into it.
Yes.
But I want to get into it. We're going to get into this comment, but we're going to get into this platform. But before platform, we're going to get into this conversation. But before I go there, we're going to address there's a lot going on in the news, and what we're going to do is we're going to toggle back to this conversation later on. What I'm about to bring up, I think RW3 wanted to talk about it. So next week, while we are, if anyone is listening, we're going to have an interesting conversation to talk about what's been in the news with the transgender. We're going to talk about this transgender situation because it is becoming they're talking about it. I mean, and people are losing their jobs from it. I think there was a teacher, the RW3 talked about it in school. I mean, I think he lost his job because of what was that?
He's on leave with pay because he said he chose not to communicate to a child based on the pronoun. They said it's supposed to be a pronoun he's supposed to utilize, and his argument was, and of course part of the argument people are making differentiating between the biology of it and what you identify as. And sometimes people conflate the two. His argument was, whatever's on your birth certificate is what I'm going to call you when you come to school if you're under 18.
Right.
It's basically what he said. He said, if your birth certificate says Johnny, and that's on your official record in the school, that's what I'm going to call you. Now, if they change the birth certificate and they change the record to Jonisha, he'll call you that at that point. His thing is, whatever's in your official record when you register your child, that's what I'm going to call you.
Yeah, and we're not going to talk a lot about it because we want people to tune in to the show.
Tracy shaking her head.
Yeah. We're going, but I like what Dave Chappelle said when he said that, like, how much do I have to play into your identity? Like, where do it comes for me? Where do it stand? So we're going to talk about it because I want to talk about it on both ends. Because I
was going to say, y'all going to have to find me a ally because.
let me.
I know y'all gonna be coming.
But let me finish. What I'm about to say is that like how far do I play in to your identity? You know, or what you want to be called. How is that fair to me? Because if you wake up, and what if I wake up in the morning and say I want to be Blue? You know what I mean? And matter of fact, I want you to call me Blue. And if you don't call me Blue, then shame on you. You should be locked up or thrown out of your job. Like, how far do we play into others people, what they consider who they are? Why do I have to play into that? And guess I'm not looking for a response. I'm just throwing it out there. Just so
Tom, you can't do that.
Hold on, Tom.
Yes,
Let me say this though. I want to say this. Let me say this. And Tracy, lovely to you. I have to answer now. This is what I want you to think about. If I came on here, because we have our guests, we want to get rolling, but if I came on here and said, right now, RW3, I identified myself as royalty. And I say, moving forward, Tracy, you need to say, Your Highness. That's my, are you going to begin to say, hey, Your Highness, if that's my new identity that I determined? I'm saying, Tone, Lady B, Lovely T, you address me now as Your Highness because I identify as royalty.
I got one word. Well, not one word, but one phrase. Charlemagne the God.
No, that's talking about me. I ain't talking about Charlemagne. I'm talking about.
But I'm saying, there's
you
room. There's room
me.
for people to identify.
You. Would you start calling me Your Highness?
That's a delusion. No, I would not see it.
I know you would.
Yeah,
I know you wouldn't.
We're gonna get into this conversation, and it's not to put hate on anyone. It has nothing to do with disliking the person. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It's just showing like how far do I have to how far do I have to go with your?
So this is a good conversation because I had an instance at work where a person would put in their text, they would text that call me, because I would go off of what their name is, but inside of the thing they might say, call me this or call me that. Or
whatever. Preferred pronoun. Yeah. I have them on my email signature as well. I prefer she, her, hers. I mean, okay, I'm gonna say this.
But you have a comment because you're sitting there smiling.
Yes,
before
Jasmine,
we move on.
Yes.
Jasmine, you have a comment?
Yes, please jump in.
Well, as a therapist, I believe that you should talk to find out how they identify and their preferred nouns. So I disagree with, if you want to be called royalty and that's how you prefer to be called, like you said, Lovely T, Charlemagne the God, we all refer to him as Charlemagne the God. So if you have different pronouns, some people are gender non-binary, use they, them pronouns, I will respect you and the pronouns that you want to use.
And here's the thing. It's not saying that you don't. Here's the thing. We get caught up in that area where we think that we don't respect the person because I feel like that. What if I forget? How far do I have to be stressed out to play or to be put in what you want to be called? I mean, that's fine. I get it. It's no disrespect towards the person. Everybody needs to be treated fair. Like they say, gay rights is gay rights. You have rights just like I have rights. It's black right. I mean, we all have rights, but I'm saying, how far do I have to play into what you demanding me to do because you just decided this is the flow? I think we live in the world now where it's called do as thy will. Meaning whatever I want to do is what you supposed to be going after. But guess what? The guy who made that statement is a Satanist. He's a Satanist, and people are flowing with him. So that do as thy will, you see that thing is going. Whatever I want to do, you supposed to recognize this and go with the flow. Are we losing our minds to some degree? I mean, I'm going to go there. Somebody going to wake up and say they're a dog. Somebody gonna wake up and say that they're a cat, and you better accept me for who I am. In fact, I'm going to get laws behind this so you can officially say that I'm a dog. Now you want to get?
Oh, come on!
Do you know right now that they're trying to pass a law where it's okay to have sex with underage kids?
My son told me about it. My son is aware of them.
Just do as they will. I mean, why?
No, but as a society, no, there is a line. There is a line.
When it become a law, is the law of the land, regardless.
No, but still, that's.
When it become the law of the land, you don't have nothing to say but to allow them to do however you feel. Well,
that's a good segue into our topic about sex offenders who feel they have a right to drug people and rape them,
and we're gonna get on that.
Be accountable for it. So let's talk about that.
And now look, you're gonna eat your words after this conversation from the documents that I'm gonna pull up. So then let's go there. So let's go here. And let's introduce our guests. This is hot. I like it like this. I love it like this. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and introduce our guests, and let's get into this conversation.
Hi. Well, we want to welcome our guest, Jasmine Richardson. Welcome. We thank you for coming on the Round Table Podcast. Awesome. So, Jasmine, Jasmine Richardson. You welcome. Is a master level student in human sexuality studies at Widener University. Previously, she earned her Master's of Science in Clinical and Counseling Psychology from Chestnut Hill College, and she graduated from cum laude with her Bachelor's of Science in Human Services at Chestnut Hill College.
Yes, and we would like to thank Miss Jasmine, Dr. What do we call you? Doctor?
Not doctor yet.
Not doctor yet. Okay. So no, we like to honor the names. You work for that title. That's what we need to call you. So that's the thing. You put that time and money in. So we're gonna call you what you are. So anyway, we welcome you. We thank you for coming into this conversation and joining us for this hot topic. Yes. It's definitely a hot topic. So and let's go ahead and
so our topic is can bad men change? What it's like inside of a sex offender's therapy. Bill Cosby, of course, we know, was denied parole. He didn't want to participate in the I guess they had came up with a plan for him for rehabilitation, but he didn't want to participate in that. So as we know that Bill Cosby is 83 years old, currently serving a 3 to 10 year sentence at a prison outside of Philadelphia for drugging and sexually assaulting a former Temple University employee at his home in 2004. So we're going to kind of like get in there,
And before we just get and dive deep into Bill Cosby per se.
I have a video too.
Let's go into a video. The video is pertaining to Bill Cosby, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll play it.
That's the second one. Producer.
Let's go ahead and producer. Let's play this video.
He has fallen so far from the once lofty perch he once had as America's dad. The formerly beloved comedian, Jell-O spokesman, and sweater aficionado was once beyond reproach. Then women from multiple decades spread the ugly truth about the cause. In the end, 60 women accused Cosby of rape, using drugs to commit sexual assault, sexual battery, sexual misconduct, and child sexual abuse dating back to the mid-1960s. Many of the accusations against Cosby were outside of the statute of limitations, but they certainly established a pattern of behavior that put the public on notice as to how much of a double life he led. On April 26, 2018, Cosby was found guilty of 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison the following September. Cosby appealed the verdict, but it was upheld in December 2019. Ever since then, he's been working every angle to try to secure his release, and he's going to have to keep trying. Bill Cosby has been denied parole by the Pennsylvania State Parole Board on the grounds that, for one thing, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections strongly recommended against it. The other reason is that Cosby refused to take part in a treatment program for sex offenders, even though the Pennsylvania State Parole Board met with Cosby and made it clear that if he didn't participate in the program, his parole would be denied, per a deadline. According to court documents, the parole board wrote, Following an interview with you and a review of your file, and having considered all matters required pursuant to the parole board, in the exercise of its discretion, has determined at this time that you are denied parole. Reps for Cosby released a statement of their own. Mr. Cosby has vehemently proclaimed his innocence and continues to deny all allegations made against him as being false, without the sheer evidence of any proof. Today, Mr. Cosby continues to remain hopeful that the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court will issue an opinion to vacate his conviction or warrant him a new trial. However, Cosby did get one thing that he wanted. Per NBC News, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court is allowing Cosby to appeal his conviction on the grounds that statements made about Cosby drugging women in civil court were used against him in criminal court. The court will hear arguments about whether that actually happened. Any past crimes would be inadmissible evidence by law. Cosby wasn't surprised by the court's decision to deny him parole, according to his spokesman, Andrew Wyatt. As Reuters reported, the disgraced comedian knew the terms that the court had recommended and was aware that his request would be turned down. Wyatt admitted in a statement, "We knew he was going to be rejected. He called me and told me that if he didn't take the course, he would be denied. He has maintained his inness from the beginning." Although Bill Cosby's
we can go ahead and cut it. It's redundant now, so we can go ahead. All right, so now looking at that, okay, so we looked into this prison situation, and we know that even if someone is being denied parole, that 3 to 10 years, that 10-year tail, if they wanted to, they can continue denying him for 10 years until he actually run his sentence straight out. You know what I mean? The 3 years is just that the time they will give him release him, he still got that tail behind him. So if he commit any other crimes, whatever, he still can serve that 10 years off from our research and understanding of what that means. So now at the same time, here's my thought process. And then we're going to get into, so we stick to the subject in terms of what we're saying. But my thing is and Lovely T, and as well as Jasmine, I want to go there, and I want you guys to tell me what you think about this. I know that Lovely T is so passionate about these issues in this area, and that's why I use her name. But here's the thing, right? Here's a person that could walk away and be free, or to some degree free, right? And this person still turns down those requirements that's put before him in order for him to parole. He could, not necessarily free, but he will actually be out in society. You get what I mean? And so why would this man not take that? Why would he say, you know what? No, I'm tired of being in here. Some people may say, I'm tired of being in here. I know I ain't do it, but here's an opportunity for me to walk out of here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. At least I'll be free, and I can try to work on the outside to clear my name from all of this stuff that I was charged with. What do you say to that, Lovely T? I'm going to start there before we get to Miss Jasmine.
So when you show the video, that's basically that was my question going into the video, and it was answered, and that is he's making the claim of innocence. So he has to keep up the front. So because before that, I'm like, what is the reason for the lack of accountability? So he's just straight saying, like, these 30-something women just all made up the story, and he's not responsible for any of it. I don't know to what extreme, but obviously he's not wanting to break from this facade of I'm innocent. So that kind of answered my question. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's my statement.
Now, I just wanted to know, what do you think about that, Miss Jasmine, Miss Richardson?
I think that he's denying what happened, or he doesn't want to have accountability, because in order to go through the programs, you have to admit your offense and you have to talk about reasoning behind committing these offenses. And if he's saying he didn't do them, he would, have to admit to these details in sex offender specific treatment.
But now here's the thing: he's already been charged. So admitting to something when you already been charged with something, it doesn't matter anymore. He's been charged with this crime and he's been sentenced. So this is a record. This is already on the record that he's a sex offender. So I mean, what difference does it make now when you already been charged? This been set in stone that, listen, you are a convicted felon. He's got a prison number. So he's already convicted, but this man is still saying that, hey, I didn't do this. See what I mean? So now how many people have went to prison? I think they just mentioned another guy who just got, I think they gave him the death penalty, and they just found out that this man was innocent after he died. They took his life, and they just found out after this man, his life's been taken, that he was innocent in the crime. So my thing is that we keep saying that Cosby raped women, and the charge said he didn't rape anybody. The charge,
and he's prepared, I read, to die off that innocence. He said at no point will he ever acknowledge or admit the crimes that he states he did not commit. He will never go through any classes, and if he has to die, he's comfortable with that because he said he's not guilty of what he's been accused of.
And my thing is to say, listen to it. We've been saying he raped women, and the allegation, the charge doesn't say rape, and it says that he was not raped. He did. Now here's the thing. Let me read this real quick, and then we definitely want to make sure we stick in. And I'm not being one-sided. I just go off of making sure I understand the media. I understand the game of the media. Mm-hmm. I understand how crafty the media is to get us to believe something, even if it's not true. But if we push out enough propaganda, you will believe it. So I understand that you can pay people to testify. And I thought I heard something about that as well that came forth where some people were paid. I mean, so I understand that. I understand he was trying to buy a major news media from some people that start with a J. You know what I mean? And because he was trying to pursue this media company, and he was trying to get the money to back it. This also all of a sudden came into play. How do you charge a person after 20 and 30 years? Now you come after them? Why you didn't come after them years ago? Why did these people, who are these people that just all of a sudden just say, you know what, I want to come forth and I really want to tell my story, even though this man is in his 80s, he's 83 now, he's in his 80s, and we're talking about all these years, and this man been still financially stable. Now, if I feel like if I'm going to go after you, I'm going to go after you because you have the money so you can pay. Why would I wait till you turn almost in your, I mean, this man 83. You mean to tell me you didn't know you would have got paid a long time ago. You would have had these, even if it's not about the money, even if it's just getting your conscience clear. Wouldn't you would have done that a long time ago? Why would you just come out of the woodworks and just say, hey, I feel confident enough to speak on this matter? During the Me Too. You know what I mean? And before we get into it, I want you guys to talk. I want to read this. This is my last thing that I will read. I want to read this of a statement that was put out from him, Bill Cosby, on Instagram. It's on his Instagram page. It said, "Attention America. They have been lying to you again. Here are the facts. Contrary to the report that you have been reading in the media, Mr. Cosby was never charged nor convicted of rape." We heard that on there when she said it. We already heard the charges that he was charged with. Mr. Cosby was convicted of aggravated indecent assault, for which he maintains his innocence. It says the media and its machine, which it is, have repeatedly and brutally misleading and misrepresenting the facts continuously in their attempt to manipulate public opinion against Mr. Cosby. Now, this is what's on his page, and it goes in deeper, which we don't really have time to talk about some things. So I'm saying that, you know, we are harsh critics, and Black people, if I want to just target us, we're more harder against our own people than we against what's his name? What's the guy name?
Weinstein.
Nobody says anything about this guy, but we go after our own people very harshly, even if we don't really know the facts ourselves. It always say, well, that person said it, so I believe it. That person said it, so yeah, it's true. We don't think that there's somebody. We never think that it's because the law says it's true, then it's true. It doesn't mean that people can change the game. I think the higher you get up, the more money that you have, and when you have a certain level of power. I'm not saying this man didn't do this, but I'm saying is that the more money that you have, the more power, the more control that you want to do. People, if they don't want you in that square, they know how to deal with you. I know we don't understand that because we don't have that level of power or money. But then there's people out there who do have that level of money and power, who know how to put things together to make it seem like, and you might have done some dirt. You know what I mean? You might have done some dirt. But, you know, I digress. I digress from that. You know, it bothers me. No, it pisses me off. Let me use that terminology. When I see some things that, yeah, I hear it, but why would you? Because my mind is like a detective. I'm going to always go back to say, well, why would you bring this up these many years later? Why would you come out with this now? Why wouldn't you do it if you really were affected? Why you wouldn't come out then when it first started? So can sex offenders,
Can they change?
Can they change? Can a sex offender? And I'm gonna say like this: I'm not calling Bill Cosby a sex offender. I want to make that clear. I'm not calling this man a sex offender, but I'm saying, can sex offenders change? And what do you say to that, Miss Jasmine? Can sex offenders change?
I cannot definitively say yes or no, but I have worked with individuals and seen them through treatment and seen significant change in them. I've seen them admit to their crime. I've seen them have accountability, and I've seen, you know, they were one offense and there's done. Then I've seen individuals go through treatment and complete the program and commit another offense. So it is depending on the person and, you know, their reasoning behind not wanting to commit another offense. I've had individuals like, I never want to go back to jail. And that's the reason I'm holding on to as to why I will never commit another offense. And I want to be free.
Now let me
I can't say there's a definite yes or no.
Well,
can I just ask her real quick? Is it sex when you're referencing the people you work with? Were they sex offenders?
Yes. So okay. I worked in 2 different programs, and they were both sex offender specific treatment programs.
Now, let me
hold on, Tone, before you jump, I'm going to say this too.
Okay.
You know, when we use the term change, I'm thinking, is it that in defining that word, do I want them to change or do I want them not to commit the crime again? Because I don't want you to, because changing, you know, is one thing. I just don't want you to commit the crime. So how are we defining, can they change? Not if we're saying, because I do believe, and I work with people where, you know, they have not, to my knowledge, have had this recidivism and committed the crime. But have I walked away from the therapeutic experience believing they've changed? Nope. But have they not committed the crime again? I don't want people to I want anybody to change if they committed crime. But more importantly, I don't want you to do it again. So how are we defining change?
So I want people to make like healthy. So I'm defining it as, are you making healthier choices going forward? So we think about it as healthy and unhealthy sexual decisions or regarding consent. So when we leave this treatment, are you able to identify what consent is, and that consent can be given and consent can be taken away? Because many of these individuals are there because they did not obey the rule of consent.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so when we hear the word sex offenders, and I'm going to go here just to draw it out a little bit more, I'm going to get a little bit more nasty with it, right? So here's my thing. You know, when we hear the word sex offender, now change is one thing, rehabilitation is another. I get what you're saying. Rehabilitation is actually another one. Are they being rehabilitated? You get what I mean? Through the program and whatever that means. And then, doctor, I want you to go, I want you to explain to us what is what is change? What is a process of what you guys do to make sure that these individuals are working on change, you know what I mean, from your perspective of what you learn in medicine or how that works. But my thing is that, okay, so we know about that sex offender, or some of us know about, I know about some of them personally, sex offenders that they prey on the innocent, you know, they prey on the innocent and they take advantage of them. And I think it is a rape. You know what I mean? That takes place from what you see in the media. You know what I mean? From what they say on the news, or even in movies that you watch, they'll say, well, how this person was sexually offended, or on shows they'll say as kids they were raped, or they were taken advantage of. You know what I mean? So we know the story. But now from Bill Cosby's situation, we hear about these drugs that were taken and in a certain environment, they were taken, they were given to him, and then it sort of he took advantage of these women because of the drugs that they were given. You know what I mean? And whatever he did afterwards, he did something. You know what I mean? They say they accused him of being sexually active, not really knowing if he was the one that they actually did the crime. You know what I mean? So in saying that, what am I saying? I'm saying when they come into your office, what type of, and I know you can't say specifically what these people are, but what type of cases do they have that would say that they are a sex offender?
So the type of cases they would have would be anywhere from actual rape of a minor, rape of an adult, sexual assault. So if they were in the program, they are in a sex offender treatment program. So if your offense is, that I slapped somebody on the butt and I were charged with that and I made it into sex offender treatment program, and that program, its program is designed for treating sex offenders.
That's terrible. That's
is it a jail diversion program? So that they can go into your program versus doing jail time, or is it in conjunction?
So they are out of jail and they are on probation or parole, and this is a program that is in the terms of their probation. So if you do not complete the program, or if somehow you're kicked out of the program, it can be a violation of your probation and you can be reincarcerated.
So not trying to. My question is, so you're typically dealing with like folks on the lower end of the charges. I know here in Michigan, like they have CSC 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you in Michigan? I'm sorry.
No,
Pennsylvania.
I'm in Philadelphia area. So yeah, okay. Pennsylvania. So there are all levels of the spectrum that I've treated. I've treated your garden variety guy who drives around in the white van and tries to pick up kids off the street. I've treated individuals who are, I got into an argument with my girlfriend and we had sex and she said it wasn't consensual. So I've treated individuals from one end of the spectrum to the other. And my thing is with treatment is we're all here for doing something non-consensual to someone. So I'm not treating your offense better than someone else's. I am treating the whole non-consent. I want to talk about victim empathy. I want to talk about what were the needs being met at the time of that offense? What was your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors behind that offense? How can we, not engage in this behavior again? Because at some point before we committed that offense, there was a way to not commit that offense. There was a way to get out of it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Hold on, let me ask you this. So what if a person, and see, this is the thing, I want to get at how the law is set up, because you only treat them according to what the law has said happened, and this is what's going on. So you've been labeled this, so now you have to come to this program and get some type of treatment, right? So my thing is this. Now, if you or you know that old movie where they show where the kid went to a party and the child happened to be white and the guy was on the basketball team, he was black, and they had consensual sex, and she didn't want her the father found out that he was black, and she said, hey, he made me do it. Now he get locked up, and this person is called a sex offender. He's been given the title as a sex offender. And there's many cases like that where, like you said, you slap them on the butt, they are sex offender. Not that they were being youthful, being stupid. Hey, in fact, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you this story real quick. When I was young, I think I was about 15 years of age, I would be called a sex offender. Listen to this. I was 15 years old. We were in this toy store, and it was enough guys. We were all lined up because, we seen this chick in the store. So we were all lined up, and we didn't want her to know who did it. So we got in line, and we walked past her, and I smacked her on the butt. We kept walking. Yeah, that's a sex offender. You see, you know what I mean? You say so, but I mean, I've never did that before. I mean, I've never did that again. We were playing around. That's what we did. You know what I mean?
But Tone, that kind of behavior, I mean,
no, that's
we're talking about.
She just said that there's been people who slap someone on the butt. They got to go and get a treatment and be talked on. Well, what made you do that? Well,
I mean, because when anytime you make a law, it's like a dragnet. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have situations that are outliers. You're gonna have situations that there was some innocence, but because it fell in these parameters, they're still caught in that dragnet. So I get that. But at some point, society has decided that we're going to put laws in place to hold people accountable and change the fact that it's okay. Because back then, when I was coming up, girls used to get ran with trains, and I'm probably sure that still happens. And for guys, that was a cool thing. But I can guarantee you, for that female, in some cases, right? I'm not going to make a blanket statement. It wasn't, and it started with boys thinking it was okay to line up and hit a girl on her butt. It doesn't start with the rape. It starts with more subtle things. And so now as a society, we have decided that, look, we have to change that starting from ground zero, and it's not okay to smack a girl on her butt. It's not okay to catcall. It's not okay, right?
I want to ask a question about consent, and I'm going to give you an example. Okay, because where if I am and I'm asking all the ladies on the panel, say I am laying I've been with someone intimately prior. So today is Sunday. Say I was with somebody intimately Saturday. We're laying next to each other in the bed. We're nude. Sunday, tonight. I'll reach over and squeeze her breast. Just reach over. She goes to the police and say, he touched me without consent. Is that considered non-consensual? Could I be considered a sex offender? I mean, does all consent have to be, I ask you, you say yes? I want y'all to kind of get me to understand, where could the lines be blurred? Talk to me.
So there is verbal and nonverbal consent. So if you reach over to touch me and I tense up and roll over so you can't touch me and you proceed to continue to touch me, then that was non-consensual.
Right.
So consent can be verbal or nonverbal.
Now, what about the first time I do it? You just get up and just would that be a legitimate argument that you can make because I didn't ask you first?
Well, I know. Go ahead. No,
go ahead. You can go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're our guest. They want to hear you. They hear me.
Right.
So my behind it is like, what was your relationship like? So sometimes non-consent could be, we had a disagreement and I don't want you to touch me, and you proceed to touch me without that permission, thinking that just because we're in a relationship, sex is automatically consensual. And that's not the truth. Just because that we're dating or we're married, sex does not automatically mean consent. And when you're married or in a consensual relationship, there has to be, if I initiate or if I tense up or if I'm saying no and you proceed just because you're thinking we're in a relationship together, that sex is automatically a given thing. Right.
And that's only because of the law. It's the mindset. It's if how I feel in the moment. Is if I'm gonna get you charged or not. It's how I feel. If you laying next to me and I just feel some type of way today, I'm calling the police on you because I didn't ask you. I just feel some type of way today. So let me call the police. And guess what? You going to jail. You going to jail.
That's show, Tone. I mean, I'm not going to deny that happens. It does. You know, you do have those situations. But
a lot. But no, it's the law.
No, the statistics will show you that is not the case.
I said the law.
Reports. No, I'm saying false reports. I'm saying where someone has said that they were violated, and that was actually not the case. Statistics show that is far and few in between. A lot of times, because rape is about power and control, mainly, not to say that it's totally void of sexual satisfaction, but it's mainly about power and control. They know they can get away with it. That's why they do it. That's why you have to have accountability in place so that they know that this is no longer tolerated. This is not a tolerable behavior. Right. Because you will be held accountable and your butt will go to jail.
Yeah, right. But okay, so let's get there. Let's go back to this statement again. But in terms of being focused, can sex offenders change? And I guess you say that is Jasmine. I guess you say that is. What did you say? You said that they possibly, or you just didn't know if they can change or not.
It's not that I don't know. I feel like there's a number of factors behind it. So are you making healthier decisions? What are you doing to not commit another offense? There are some who go through and they can make healthier choices. There are some who just ride through the program until I get off probation and then I'm going to do whatever. So I think it's individually based, to be honest.
So they can, though. So you've experienced, so they can then. Right. You've experienced people that have changed.
Right.
I've experienced people who have, changed it or made healthier choices. They have not committed offenses as of today that I know of.
Okay.
Right. I mean, so that means they can change because you have some that do and some that don't. Just like you have a person, they always say all men cheat. That's all men cheat, but or once a cheater, always a cheater. Remember that statement? Once a cheater, they don't go to treatment. They don't go. A lot of, sex offenders, but all men cheat. Do you see them in treatment?
If I wanted to play one more video that I had in the file,
and then let's read this statement that who was it?
Let me read a couple of them. Marcus Washington said, "Good point, RW3," and then thank you, sir. Then Carlos Martinez says, "That man, Mr. Cosby, is innocent. He was innocent the first time. Then the rich man put it back in court and railroaded him."
I believe that. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly.
To believe that means you discount all of those women that came forward. When nobody telling the truth, they all came together, conspired, and said we're gonna take him down.
Hold on, let me tell you something else. You remember Rodney King? All of them was saying they were not guilty. So just because somebody's guilty don't mean it's true. We saw on video him get 50 times. But they said he wasn't guilty.
Yeah, they said he didn't.
We know they were guilty.
That's right.
We know it. Just like OJ, I'm black. They said not guilty, but I think he's guilty. So everybody that's guilty is not guilty. Everybody's guilty because it's by reasonable doubt. Without, it's not.
This is why women can't come forward, Tone. This is why it took 20. Yes, it is. Because somebody like Bill Cosby,
they come back
you got thousands of people telling you this is their experience. Still, you have a public that's not going to believe them because of Bill Cosby's imprint. That this is why women don't come out. Because me as a single woman, there's no way in the hell I'm going to be believed over a Bill Cosby.
Why not?
That's why it took 20 years.
Why not?
Look at it now. Y'all still believe the man is guilty, and you had it.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so let's do this. Hold on, Lovely T. I want to say, just for the sake of this argument, and this is the thing. You didn't say it, but sometimes I think they put it on us men. Let's just use him for example. When they had that stuff on tape, say I think with Trump and the woman and that whole news thing, right? But guess what happened? Millions of women still went out and voted for him and discounted a lot of what those women say. It's not just a man thing. There are actually women
who are in alignment,
right? Within
I never said it was gender. I said the public. I said the public. Still,
let me read these real quick. Carlos getting that lovely tea. He's not a sex offender, lovely tea. That's why he's holding his innocence. It's a game. I don't care what's in the books. The system has control over what they label. You think Carlos again? When he was not guilty, you're not talking about that lovely tea.
Well, read the statement of the other guy.
And Mark Justice says, I believe Cosby was guilty, as well as some of his victims were guilty also. Mark Justice. Thank you, sir. Did Brianne LeMay, that's probably one of Lovely T's best friends. Preach Lovely T, because he's probably Lovely T friend. Thank you.
Let me put this in. We want our guests to talk about. Hold on, but let me say this. So here's the thing for me. Now, I think the way that it was handled in court, and see, I always, and I'm not saying that people can't wait years and then come forth with their truth. I'm not saying that don't happen. I mean, it could happen, but I guess to me, you know, I look at all of the other things that's on the back burner, in the back closet, that made this stuff happen. All of a sudden, this man charged with these other heinous crimes. But I guess to me, it's almost like I'm going to use Bill Cosby's statement. In fact, he the one who made this statement. There was and I think I brought this up before with Theo. No, it wasn't Theo. It was Denise, and it was
and her
the husband that she was trying to marry. What was that guy named? Dabness. I don't know if y'all remember the Cosby Show. Dabness and Denise. They were about to get married, and he just showed up to the house, and Denise just said, "Hey, listen, we about to get married," and Bill Cosby and the wife just looked at her like, "What?" Like, I mean, they just came out of nowhere to say they're gonna get married, and Dabness wanted Bill Cosby to accept what was said. They had told Dabness' mother, but they didn't tell Bill Cosby and his wife. So Bill Cosby, he used this analogy. He said, "What is your favorite dinner?" And he said, "I like a good steak." He said, "Good steak, mushrooms, and everything." He said, "Yeah." And then he said, "What about a baked potato?" He said, "Yeah, man, I love a good baked potato." He said, "Great." He said, "Well, okay, we got a steak here. We got a nice potato. And what if I take that steak and potato and take it off the garbage can lid and put it on there and serve it to you?" He said, "Would you like it then?" He said, "No." He said, "Right, it's in the presentation." And see, that's how I look at this situation. All of these women at one time, it's just coming out of the woodwork from 30 years ago, seeing what this man did to them. And then this other stuff that took place with him trying to get NBC on, whatever. He was trying to get this big news thing going on. A lot of things were coming to place. And all of a sudden, these people slowed down that whole situation. Look at the history of what happened. Now, everybody don't know. Hollywood is known for a lot of stuff. A lot of dirt goes on in Hollywood. We can imagine from cocaine to sex to rape, the whole 9 yards. So everybody know how the lifestyle of Hollywood. So it's not like this man or those people who wouldn't have came forth wouldn't have been believed. Come on now, we know that. If they would have said, "Hey, Bill Cosby did this to me," soon as it happened, they probably would have believed, because they know what time Hollywood and what they do in Hollywood. It's just these women. I guess to me, it's the presentation. It's how it's set up. It's how it's said. I mean, I'm not boo-boo the fool. I can't help that. I mean, I just don't believe anything anybody says. And I just say, well, okay, if you said it, then that's what it is. Give me the backstory. Let me understand. I don't care if it was 1,000 women that came forth. Because guess what? I can finance 1,000 women to come forth. It's two-way street to this thing. I digress. I get back off of it.
Let me ask y'all this question real quick. Mark Justice said this. I do have a question for the ladies. Mark Justice, He said he's guilty of using female persuasion to take advantage of his power position with their womanly ways. That doesn't mean all of them did that, though. Pills are a crime. I do have a question. Thank you, Mark Justice, for your comment. And I'm asking you all this. Do we, because of the sheer number of women, does it make it more credible? Does it mean that it's actually true because it was that many women? Could it still be untrue? Is there any room for that at all? Max and ladies, just because there was 30 women, or I don't know how many women it was, could it still be not true? Because if we look at the history of the justice system, there have been eyewitnesses in a lot of situations where people were found, like some people have been executed, and are found with eyewitnesses to crimes. And until they came up with DNA, people have been killed off of some of these things. So my question is, because the sheer number, do we believe he's guilty? Do we look at the evidence? Well, some of the evidence was circumstantial if you look at some of the court readings. So I guess my question is, because the sheer number, do we believe it? Where are we out on that?
Or are we women that we believe it? Because we women. Because that's also that's
like,
another way we can believe it, because we're a woman.
That's like voting for a president. Like, if you're black, I'm gonna vote for you because you're black. So I'm black.
So that's a whole other piece in that. Because I'm a woman, I think he did it. You see what I mean? So, but I don't want to take away from what RW3 said. I guess
Brianne LeMay, Lovely T's sister, probably her cousin or somebody, her bloodline. But Brianne says they absolutely would not have been believed. I guess she's talking to Tone. Sexual assault victims are not always believed. The entire Me Too movement would not have happened if people believe victims when they come forward. Thank you, Brianne. This is a prime example of paying folk, because clearly Lovely T is sending her cash out. Jump in on that and make these statements.
What do you think about that?
Jasmine, what do you go ahead? Because please chime in.
I mean, what do you think about? And I'm talking to Miss Jasmine. What do you think about this whole situation? And I know you can't really speak to the fact if Bill, obviously you did. You said you think he were. Do you think Bill Cosby's guilty? Do you believe he's guilty?
So I honestly don't know if he's guilty or innocent, but I will say this. I have done group with the individuals. I had a deniers group for individuals who denied their offenses. And I honestly have had individuals go through the deniers program, and they either have to pay for a polygraph or at some point have to admit to their offense. I've had individuals take a polygraph and it shows no deceit detected. It doesn't say you didn't commit your offense. It doesn't say you're not guilty or innocent. It just say there was no deceit detected. There's no deceit detected. And with that, we say there's no need for sex offender-based treatment, and we'll step you down out of our program. It doesn't, I don't know if it changes your, probation protocol, but it does say that maybe you need less restraints because maybe you're not at risk. So I will say, I don't, just because there's 100 women doesn't mean he's guilty or innocent. If he goes to the program, maybe he'll get into a deniers group program and he'll get a chance to take a polygraph, and they'll show whether there's deceit detected or not.
Well, let me ask you this: when they come to you, have they come from prison, or have they come from that, or did they say before you go to prison, you get a slap on the wrist, but you got to take this class, or do you get them both ways like that?
I get them when they've gotten out of prison.
So they have already been charged, whether they've done it or not, haven't they?
But many of them, when they take that poly, they want that proof to say, if they're saying I didn't do this, they want proof to say that there was no deceit detected. I didn't do this. They want that. Although I do let them know this does not change, your restrictions. It may not have changed your, will they expunge it from your record? After you do that and you leave my program, I don't get to change any of that. I just take you through the protocol for what the group is. You take the polygraph, it shows whether deceit was detected or not. If it shows that there was deceit detected and that it shows that you may have lied or held back about something, we then give you the chance to, write a statement to say what was happening, or what maybe you had lied about, or what you held back. Maybe it wasn't that you lied, maybe you guilt by omission, you didn't tell all the detail. So we give you that opportunity.
Then let me ask you this. Have there been someone in your program that you actually believe they didn't do it?
Has there been someone that I have had individuals where I feel like they may have gotten the short end of the stick? I can say that. I can say there's some where I feel like maybe you, like if you're on, because I've had individuals that are on probation for a lengthy number of time. Maybe they have to register as a sex offender for years and years. I have had individuals that I felt like they may have gotten the short end of the stick. Yes, I can say that.
And when you say short end of the stick, are you saying that they didn't commit the crime, but everything just went wrong for them?
I'm not saying that they didn't commit the crime. Now, I've had some that went through and found out that there was no deceit detected, and all the things that they went through, I felt like, you know, they were this way. Some say I got like this because I had a public defender. So sometimes I feel like some of our individuals, maybe they weren't able to get their story heard. Some of them are very low functioning that I've worked with and really took their deal because they thought they could get out of it. Maybe they didn't do it and they're like, I took the deal because I thought that I could get out of here, and that's not what happened. Now I have to register for the next 25 years of my life.
So do you think that's the case? And this is a general statement for everyone. Do you think that's the case with Bill Cosby, that he won't admit to it? Because now here's the other piece to not admitting to it. If I admit to this, that means that, you know, even though he's already been convicted of it, but if I don't admit to it, then I know that chances are I can fight this and now here's the thing. Now he do have his case back in court. They're just looking over it to see if they're going to give him another trial. So let's keep this in mind. So he's waiting now to see if he will get that trial, that court date again, so he can appeal this case again to fight it. So here's a man that's maintaining his innocence. I mean, obviously he have the money that he can put the lawyers behind him to go ahead and revisit this trial and possibly even clear his name. Who knows? So, but my thing is this. Here's a man that's going through all of this. I mean, he's going through all of this to fight, but at the same time, he feel like if he don't fight, then if he do get out and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and do the classes, that they will say, yep, we know you did it. You know, you taking these classes because you just want to get out back in the street. And now I got to go to Miss Jasmine. I have to report to her class, right? Miss Jasmine, I got to report to. Do they have to come to your class, or they'll be in trouble if they didn't?
So if you just don't show up, that's, you know, we do report to probation and parole. So if you don't show up because it's a part of your stipulations. So if you don't show up, we will inform your parole officer or your probation officer. What they do that's between them and their probation officer. But we will report if you don't show up.
Oh, so I guess he sees that. Wait a minute, I don't want to go through all of this. I know that I didn't do this. I don't know, man. I guess, you know, I don't know. I guess I don't want to have much of a. You know, I mean, it's possible he could have done it. It is possible. I'm not saying it is not possible that he couldn't have done it. It's just the way things seem and how black men are railroaded on the daily. On the daily, black men are railroaded.
But you got to be careful with that.
Hold on, T, real quick. You can respond to this, T, since you can get on the roll. Mark Justice said the appeals were the thing that set his acts apart, not the numbers. Thanks again, Mark. And Carlos Martinez says, Mr. Bill Cosby settled with one of the women for $3 million, not to bring the case back. She spent all of the money. Now she wants more.
Wow.
Crazy.
I'm not denying, there's going to be scandal. There's going to be opportunists. There's going to be, you're going to have all of that. This is a huge situation. This is over a long time. This involves a lot of people. But to not admit to not just nothing, just. But what makes you like you want him to? This is a longer conversation, and I respect what the gentleman was saying about the pills. Like, every situation is different. I'm saying you have to be careful with a broad stroke. Yes, culturally, black women, black men, we have our plight. We know that we're marginalized. We know that the law is not just for us, but that shouldn't excuse us or put blinders on our eyes and not look and say, okay, like you said, is it possible that he did that? Like, there were pills involved. Like, there was a lot involved. Yes, there are many situations that are suspect, that are, you have to question a little more. But I just think there was too much evidence. There was the constant, yes, the method in which he raped these girls was said over and over and over and over and over and over. Like, I can
routinely tell you what to say too.
Like
if I'm your attorney, I can coerce you into doing whatever I need you to do so it stay consistent. So that's what lawyers do all day. Make sure you shoot out these points. Make sure you always constantly talk about this. Here's the thing, right? I'm not saying that people don't do these things. Obviously, they do. Miss Jasmine can contest to that. Mm-hmm. They obviously commit these heinous crimes. But I don't need Jasmine to tell me that they do, because that's the mind of some people out there. She just tried to give them that treatment because they're out there. We know that they're out there. That's obvious that they're out there. But I'm saying that we have to make sure that our system is doing it fairly. They're not doing it because they just trying to pursue an agenda to keep you away from something. So we're going to put your name. I mean, there's people out there that does this stuff. They're cold-blooded people. And if they don't want you involved in things that pushes out power, do you know how much power media brings? If you own that, especially as a Black company, that you can put out a perception of what you want people to think. I mean, that's a powerful medium to have. Mm-hmm. So if I can do whatever it is that I need to do to keep you from owning a Black company such as that, a company such as that, or buying it, hey, whatever it takes. It's a cold-blooded people. And I guess, and that's how I look at this situation. I'm not saying that these people don't exist. They do exist. Obviously, they exist. But I'm saying that we just have to make sure we're not allowing the media to manipulate us to believing that this person is who they are if they're not. Maybe he's given some pills. Maybe he have done that. You know what I mean? But listen, why didn't they come after him years ago? Now, let's find some dirt on him. He's getting too close to what this agenda is. We know that he was doing this. We know he was doing this years ago, but now listen, let's get him. You could be like that. I could be like that. It's something in everybody's past that we just don't talk about. We sit up here, we feel like think about it. You know your past. I know my past. You know your past. But what if somebody knew your past, and if you got so close to something that I know that it's time for me to step into your past and bring that out? You see what I mean? So I'm saying that it does happen. People have past of things that they've done, and now it makes sense to bring it out because you're stepping into a way of something that brings power to a medium that I don't need you to get. So we need to lock you up, brother. We need to lock you up. So
I wanted to. We have a comment. I want to see if I can read it from Mac Justice. He says, "Is this also karma for Mr. Cosby's blatant disrespect for the poor Black women he displayed during his symposium in Detroit and other cities?"
Well, he's done so much other great things, though. I mean, great things. Even to
so does R. Kelly. So does Jeffrey Weinstein.
No.
Oh yeah, they brought us great music. I mean, we could throw in Michael Jackson.
But he said karma. He said karma in terms of he didn't get caught for this, but he got caught because he said something blatant or bad to a Black. Come on, man. No, I wouldn't. We all in trouble there. You see, here's the thing. I just know that when you point fingers, there's three back at you. You see what I mean? So that's my thing. I'm not. I guess what I'm saying is that I hope he have a day in court. I hope he have a day in court. And I would love to revisit how we feel if he's been found innocent. Because, see, we shouldn't judge this thing by the law. We should have a moral perspective about this. It should be a hard issue, not a law issue. It shouldn't be, well, he's not convicted, so he didn't do it. Maybe he did do it. He just got away with it. There's plenty of people out there who've committed crimes, and because they have enough money and the longest money and the best lying game, that they get away with it. I mean, you know what I mean? You just don't know because they hadn't been charged with it. So all I'm saying is that, you know, I hope this man have his day in court. I pray that he have his day in court because I want to see what happens if this man come back innocent from all charges. I'm hoping.
You mean in appeals, because he did go to court and they did find him guilty and he's doing time. But you mean in appeals court?
Well, if appeals court is still him having a day in court. It doesn't matter. It's still he having a day in court. You know what I mean? I'm just not giving it a definite, being specific to the name of the title. But I'm just saying, obviously, is an appeal. But I'm saying, but hold on, like he said, he was found innocent, and then they rehashed it and put it back in it again, and he was railroaded. So, I mean, if we're going to say it, let's say it right. Now, you know what I mean? So, it's not like he was just charged right then and there and thrown up. This man got long money just like the next guy. You know what I mean? So, but I'm just hoping that we see what happens, and I want to we're going to revisit this again, and I want to see what happens, how we feel when this man is found innocent or guilty.
Tone, Brianne Lee Lovely T's sister asked you, so is it moral to drug women?
No, not at all.
She's basically saying that he drugged women. So in essence, she said he drugged the women. Is that not okay?
No, but that's not a sexual offense either. That's not a sex offense. To drug a woman is not a sex offense. To sell crack to a person and drug them is not a sex offense. To smoke coke, to do cocaine is not a sex offense. To drink liquor and get drunk, or I can entice you by pouring you a drink and influencing you to drink.
But having sex without consent, and technically and legally, you cannot give consent if you are inebriated, intoxicated, and not in your right mind. You are not. You are not in position to give.
Crazy. Hold on.
She didn't ask.
Am I wrong?
What you're saying to me is this.
She didn't ask that question.
You cannot give consent if you are under the influence.
Hold on. We all came from. Hold on. So this is what our question is.
Wait a minute. Let me say
we all been in the club. We all came up from somewhere. So if I meet, and I don't go to clubs anyway, but I'm saying if I was in a spot, she had a couple of drinks. Hey, want to go to my place? We go to my place, and she had a couple of drinks under the influence. She might be at 0.08. If she say, hey, I want to be with you sexually, that means she ain't got enough sense to say that, so I shouldn't be with her. I mean, talk to me, Lovely T.
I'm telling you. Somebody at a
if you are at the club and you
go ahead, Jasmine.
I was gonna say, if you're at the club and you meet a girl and she's intoxicated to the point where maybe she's slurring her words and she doesn't know if she can't stand on her own 2 feet, do not have sex with her.
Obviously,
I agree with that.
That should be obvious. That should be
right.
Obvious.
But y'all say under the influence.
No,
under the influence. That means anything above 0 is under the influence.
No, come on.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay,
that is true.
Okay.
If you take that first
drink, let me tell you, that's for the courts to decide. But the law says if you are inebriated, if you are under the influence, right. I mean, apparently there's some common sense to that. But again, like I said, I would leave that to the courts to decide. But you can make the argument, yes, that I was not in a position to give consent. And this person took advantage of me in that situation. I'm saying took advantage, but it could be rape.
But that could be on one drink. That could be one drink. You see what I mean? So here, let's make it clear. Because see, I'm a very detailed person. I make sure you understand where I'm coming from. I'm not talking about if a person is intoxicated. I'm not talking about that. Because if he gave this woman a pill, it depends on what happened after he gave the pill to her. You know what I mean? So I'm not talking about that. So I'm saying that the question was asked, is that right or wrong? And I said, that's wrong. But it's not a sexual offense. It's no sexual act that have happened from what you're saying. So,
you can't separate. I mean, you can do what you want, but you're separating the two.
Ask the question.
In these situations, they were married. It was the pills and then the sex, which made it a non-consensual event, which made it criminal.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just going about what the question that was asked to me. Is that wrong? Yeah, that's wrong, but it's not a sexual offense. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room. I wasn't in the closet hiding with binoculars. I don't know what happened after, I don't know what happened.
Lovely T was.
I wasn't there. I can't accuse nobody of anything because I wasn't there. But I also understand that things is a money grab too. Things are a money situation.
So Mark made an interesting point. Mark says, a couple things. Okay. Brianne again, it's not, but you said we should judge people based on morals and not the law. That's probably the tone. Now, Mark had a couple interesting points. Mark says it is actually illegal to drug someone for the purpose of having sex. The difference in alcohol is the person chose it and not that you gave them an unprescribed drug without their knowledge. He says choice is what makes the difference. Great point, Mark. Thanks a lot.
Very great point. I can't even say nothing on top of that. But I did want to say before we wrap up that, Ms. Jasmine, I think you do some very interesting work. I'm a social worker. Yeah. That's probably one population that I can't. But
it's definitely not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. Yeah, so I commend you for, having the empathy to extend to these individuals. And believe that change is possible in these individuals. And I'm sure, because I can't even imagine, I'm sure you've heard some things that just didn't sit right with your soul, but you still look through that. So I commend you for the work that you do with that particular population.
Yeah, definitely. It's unmute me, Jasmine. It's definitely something that it has to be.
Thank you.
Somebody have to do it, right? I mean, it's teaching somebody or helping somebody. But I guess I close with. So my thing is that I like to close with a matter of the heart. I believe that every issue is a matter of the heart. No matter what we say or what we do, it's wrong to treat people or to be selfish or to lust after other people. I like to leave everything. To me, the most sound thing is, to me, again, what I'm about to say have nothing to do with the people on this platform. I like to make sure that I say that. But from a believer, a Christian belief, I believe that it's wrong in general to drug anybody. Obviously, it's wrong. And obviously, there must have been something done that led to this situation. In his case, it's just the thing as is it a crime or not a crime? I think that the law is so different now. It's not really based on if you did it. It's based on if I can prove you did it. That's the way the law is set up. Who can tell the best lie? That's what we're caught up in. It's been that way for years because you have innocent men who've been found guilty. You have guilty men that's been found innocent. And that's been the case forever and ever in a day. But the Bible says in Matthew 5:28, but I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So it don't matter. I come from a biblical perspective, whatever. Lust is lust, and that was a lustful act that was committed. It may not start, maybe it started off as a lustful situation, and then it went into what you call a sequence of events, where now this happens and that happens and this happens, and I think that people can change, but I think from my perspective, from a biblical perspective, they can change if they turn their hearts to God. And that's my perspective. Anybody can change, because if they couldn't, then we all would be in trouble. So I would say be safe out there. Do the best that you can do, and keep your hands off women. I mean, if it's something that they don't want you to do, then just don't do it. Or if not, you're going to set yourself up for a bad situation, and you're gonna end up like Bill Cosby in this situation. So I would say to everybody, keep your hands off women. Women, keep your hands off men, because women do it just like men do. There's no different, and I don't think there's nobody who commit one sin more than the other. We all do it because we all have a human nature.
Well, so, Lovely T got stats against that probably. So if you ask her, it's the men and not the women.
Well,
so let me say this.
I've had a female defender group as well.
Oh, she said she has a women perspective.
So does Jasmine has any information to share about her business or anything for Jasmine?
Yeah. Well, she was about to do it. What you about to say?
No, I was just saying it's not just men. I've had a females offender group as well. So consent goes all the way around. It's not just men, it's women as well.
That's right.
Wow.
It's women.
So you want to share your services with us, Jasmine, and our audience?
Yeah, so right now I have a private practice. I'm with the Relationship and Sex Therapy Collective. So I don't take insurance, but I do a sliding scale. I offer, sex therapy, healthy and unhealthy sexual behaviors is what I like to teach, sexual dysfunctions, anxiety, depression, all of that. And I'm found on Psychology Today. I also am on Open Path for individuals who are lower income. And yeah. That's it.
Great.
That's right.
Awesome.
So I again, and we thank Miss Jasmine for coming on to the show.
Yes.
I reiterate again, to me, the biggest thing is getting your life together, getting yourself in order so you won't even meet Miss Jasmine. You know what I mean? So when you get yourself together, when you get yourself in order, and mine would be to a higher power, it gives you rules and regulations on things you shouldn't be doing in the first place. And that puts you on a better road than if you didn't do it. So I would tell people that. So you won't even end up in these situations. And that's what I would say. But guys, we thank you for watching the pod. We ask that you like and share the pod. Stay tuned. I got a lot of good inserts that I think I'm gonna use in this one. I'm gonna put up on this one some heated moments. So, guys, next week we're gonna have a good pod. We're gonna travel down this road. What we're saying about this transgender. I definitely want to travel down this road because there's some interesting topics here. People are losing their jobs. People are suing because of what they believe that they have a right to say. And I'm gonna be honest, I stand with those people that, with freedom of speech, we losing that value where you can't say anything, you can't stand up for what you believe is right anymore. If you do, you're condemned for it. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, you know what I mean? So you can't say what you believe anymore. If you do say it, then you're criticized because of what you believe and your faith. Now, I'm gonna say this: you see more and more people now, because of what they're believing, now are being criticized because of what they believe. So we see where this country is moving.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have a faith in this country no more without people coming after you. And I think that's still sad, and that's a shame that you can't believe what you believe. And I guess we'll dabble down that road next week. I definitely want to talk about it. Stay tuned. If you want to participate within that comment, we thank everybody who participated, who left a comment. Kudos to you guys. And listen, join our show.
Jasmine, show your nails. I love them. Can you put them on the screen?
Can't you hear it?
Oh.
Yes, you're probably So guys, we thank you and leave your comment. Oh, they're going now.
Are you able to see?
Oh yeah,
creativity. I love it. Huh.
We better not RW3. You better not say it was sexual assault.
Right? Yeah, I can't say that about the nail. I get locked up, so
you're gonna be in Jasmine's class.
Right.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
They are sex therapy friendly.
Don't say anything. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Jasmine.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
We thank you. We appreciate it.
Lovely day,
guys. Love it.
Lovely day.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Lovely.
Three strikes.
Love day.
3 strikes.
Bye.